Web developers, software engineers, and mobile app developers are fully acquainted with the term programming. Essentially, it entails a set of instructions that direct the device, predeterminedly defining how to handle data, execute tasks, and perform a series of required actions to achieve a specific goal. It constitutes the second step in creating a website, program, or application, following the initial stage where theoretical concepts, models, project frameworks, basic structures, color schemes, key functions, transition screens, icons, tools, and toolbars are designed. As for the programming phase, it involves the process of writing code, testing and debugging errors, and developing source code with the aim of executing a predefined function, expected to yield accurate results by meticulously following a series of arithmetic and logical operations. Since electronic devices lack independent minds, they execute tasks and fulfill their purposes according to predetermined steps defined by the programmer, without any attempt at innovation. However, the human mind, despite being designed for freedom of thought and independent inquiry, can also be subjected to programming, albeit in a manner different from that used for electronic mind programming. Nevertheless, the ultimate goal remains the same: to execute predetermined steps set by the programmer. The process of mind programming fundamentally targets the subconscious mind as the controller of the conscious mind, human beliefs, inclinations, decisions. This process relies on a fundamental principle known as the repetition principle. During primary education, a child learns that the earth is a sphere. Repeatedly encountering it in the model presented by the teacher, in images filling the pages of geography books, on television screens and programs, movies and series, in newspapers and magazines, street advertisements, and on clothing and school notebook covers. Through this exposure, they undergo a programming process through repetition, leading to the solidification of the idea of the Earth's sphericity as an unquestionable fact. The programming process necessitates, firstly, the creation of a directed thought template, a set of ideas, opinions, and beliefs supported by evidence termed scientific, and experiments, also referred to with the same term, to create an acceptable model for explaining a phenomenon. Despite the difficulty of the initial step in imposing this template on the first generation, subsequent steps become easier and easier through generations, inheriting the model from the preceding one, learning it from infancy until it becomes firm and intuitive, and the cognitive template spreads among humans like wildfire without resistance. For example, there is a scientific model explaining the layers of the Earth from the crust to the core. A model we learned repeatedly as children and teach to our children as a scientifically established certainty without allowing the programming process to question the evidence supporting this model or verifying how scientists came to know it. In our minds, the idea solidifies that they, scientists, know more than us. Therefore, they must have dug deep until they reached the core, analyzed these layers, and tested them through direct observation, then presented a scientific model supported by thousands of illustrations. However, the truth is that this model is not a scientific model but rather a work of science fiction, based on conjectures rather than direct observations. It relied on geological research and measurements without direct observation. No one has drilled to the depth of the Earth to confirm it, and no one knows for certain the composition of the Earth's layers or its internal structure. The deepest hole ever dug by humans is the Kola Ultradeep, carried out by Soviet scientists with the aim of drilling the deepest hole in the world. The project began in 1970 with the goal of reaching a depth of 15 kilometers. By 1979, Russian scientists surpassed the previous record held by the Bertha Rogers well in the United States, which was 9,583 meters deep. By 1983, they reached a depth of 12 kilometers, but over the next 10 years, they were only able to drill an additional approximately 262 centimeters. This was all they achieved, just 12 kilometers. Despite all attempts to reach the goal, they were unable to go deeper than 12 kilometers, and the project was completely halted in 1992, announcing the largest hole ever drilled by humans. What did scientists find at this depth? And why was the Kola Ultradeep nicknamed the Well to Hell? This project was part of the intense scientific rivalry between the Soviet Union and the United States during the Cold War. The Soviets succeeded in it to compensate for their loss to American superiority in space after the success of the Apollo missions in landing humans on the moon, or so they claimed. Although the Kola Ultradeep project was a scientific endeavor, it became associated with a contemporary myth, surrounded by rumors ranging from logical to fantastical. However, it is noteworthy that Soviet geologists discovered a perplexing anomaly in the geological characteristics of the Earth. They found vast quantities of water flowing at relatively deep depths, which undermines the geological theory suggesting that the Earth's layers become less porous and more cohesive the closer we get to the center. Through direct observation, it became evident that the opposite is true, with deeper Earth layers being more porous, allowing water to move easily. They also discovered massive amounts of methane gas, which is a form of alkane, meaning it is an organic compound. How did an organic compound reach such depths, despite scientific assumptions that there should be no organic matter there? To understand the significance of this discovery, it undermines the biogenic origin theory of oil, as organic compounds were found to exist at depths much deeper than where petroleum accumulates. How did plankton, plant, and marine life cells reach such depths if the water in the deep recesses of the Earth were not somehow connected to water on its surface? Or if the scientific explanation of the Earth's water cycle as a whole was dubious? In addition, in 1989, a contemporary legend spread claiming that there is a well in the Soviet Union reaching into hell beneath the Earth. Although the legend did not mention Kola Ultradeep specifically, rumors circulating about this well created a connection between them. It was mentioned that somewhere in the Soviet Union, a team of scientists managed to drill a deep well that penetrated the Earth and reached a cavity below, and when they lowered sensitive, heat-resistant recording devices, they allegedly heard sounds resembling the cries of the tortured in hell. This story was published by the American newspaper, Weekly World News, and later republished with audio recordings by the Trinity Broadcasting Network, TBN, relying on the account of a Norwegian who also claimed that a ghost resembling a bat emerged from the well and flew into the sky. Other American newspapers also published claims of miners dying after the devil emerged from the hellhole. However, it was later revealed that the authenticity of the audio recordings was questionable, leaving the story of the well to hell as a narrative oscillating between myth and reality. Interestingly, it bears resemblance to another tale in Arab region, which is the story of the Well of Barhout, or Fugit Eclipse, located in eastern Yemen and known as the Pit of Hell, where it is believed that it is inhabited by jinn, and stories and myths have been woven around it, passed down through generations. Although Soviet geologists were the ones who drilled the deepest hole on Earth, possessing direct observations and scientific data, they stayed on their official website. We realize and comprehend how little we still know about the structure of the Earth. Their project aimed to drill 15 kilometers deep, but they failed to surpass 12 kilometers despite all their attempts before the project was halted without reaching the goal. However, the strange thing is that the troposphere layer in the Earth's atmosphere, where we live, also extends to a distance of 12 kilometers. Is this a coincidence? Or an intriguing pattern and a secret of the number 12? The year is divided into 12 months. The clock has 12 numerals. And there are 12 signs of the zodiac in the sky. The fundamental element comprising 98% of our bodies is carbon-12. In Greek mythology, there were 12 gods led by Zeus, and the Romans also had 12 gods led by Jupiter. In India, there were 12 assisting gods to the creator god Brahma. Prophet Moses, peace be upon him, struck the rock, causing 12 springs to gush forth for his people, who were divided into 12 tribes. The disciples of Jesus Christ, peace be upon him, 12, and there are 12 major holidays in Christianity. In Shia Islam, there are 12 imams in the Twelver tradition. One of the most intriguing observations from the Kola ultra-deep project is that the Earth's interior is not randomly structured. Rather, it consists of meticulously organized layers, each distinct in rock composition. Therefore, if humanity has not delved deeper than 12 kilometers, we have yet to penetrate even half of the Earth's crust, which constitutes less than 1% of the Earth's total volume. So, if we have not surpassed the Earth's crust, how can we rely on remote sensing devices to understand the structure of the Earth if the Kola Ultra Deep project proved their inaccuracy? How did we come to know the complete structure of the Earth and study it as an unquestionable scientific model? And how do we believe in the validity of this model as if it were self-evident? The reason lies in the process of mental programming that did not allow such questions to cross our minds. A complex programming process supported by other operations aimed at reinforcing other ideas, the most important of which is that we live on the surface of a spherical Earth. So, do we truly live on a surface of a sphere?